Joe. Today, going over to the political part podcast, you have Biden getting the steelworker union endorsement, which has 850,000 members, which is quite a few to say the least. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Daniel Wallace over at Fox News. They note that the United Steelworkers, also known as USW, endorsed Biden for a second term. Now, it looks like there is 850,000 workers in the mining, metal, pulp, and paper and rubber, chemicals, glass, auto supply, and energy producing industries. And they also note along with a growing number of workers in healthcare, higher education. Let's see here. Surveying unions conducted a months-long process that included surveying union members regarding their top priorities. Now, the union said, quote, also, quote, sent prospective presidential candidates in both parties a detailed questionnaire to determine where each of them stand on key issues affecting workers people. Let's see here. Who is this gentleman? McCall? Trying to see this individual. Okay, so USW president is David McCall, and he said, with a straight face apparently, quote, President Biden proved time and again during his first term that he stands with working families. He continues the quote, saying, quote, his vision and leadership allow our nation to strengthen workers' access to collective bargaining, grow the middle class, and embark on a path towards widespread prosperity, unquote. Those were words. Now, the union, let me see here. Of course, they have a picture of Biden also with Sean Fain, who's the head of the United Auto Workers, which has increased to the point where it's the highest contract ever for the big three. It's going to be a rough year for the auto community. Well, for the shareholders and people who want to buy the products specifically. McCall also said, quote, our members told us that they value retirement security, affordable health care, and labor laws that support our ability to form unions and negotiate strong contracts, unquote. Apparently inflation is not on their list of concerns or nation's security. So, let me see here. Of course, they claim, well, granted, a lot of them are doing donations. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these workers actually believe that, and how many of them are going to vote lockstep and key with the management of the unions, which, again, some areas actually have to be forced into a union, like a gang, and then they take your money and they give it to politicians. Interesting. Personally, I don't think you should ever be forced to join anything, but that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, thanks to our government ineptitudes on the left and the right, it's got to be 3 cents. Now, might have to do with they also know that some of the members agree with the president because of the ironically named, the Inflation Reduction Act, which guaranteed a lot of big contracts for them. But I'm actually more interested in what the comments say. That's usually where life gets a lot more interesting. You have Steve781, very inspirational name. He says, quote, Biden picked up the union leaders, but the membership likely does not agree. Trump gave blue-collar workers a real raise between 7 and 8%, the first raise they've seen in 30 years. Biden took that away and has left them with real wage decrease, not the first one they had in 30 years, unquote. That got 221 likes and only 12 down likes, which is quite a positive ratio to say the least. Again, in terms of Biden's political acumen, he spent decades dating or courting, whatever term you use, the unions. I mean, the thought that, there's a rumor that maybe the UAW might not endorse Biden, which is ironic because the president's policies are making the traditional automotive companies less profitable, thereby giving less money to actual people who are in the union that work there, actually digging their own grave by forcing EV mandates, which EVs will require less low-skilled labor to actually assemble. But I partially digress. It's hilariously ironic, some might say, including me. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he has, for decades, courted the unions, and overwhelmingly have his support. I don't think Trump's going to get even one major union behind him. I mean, it's also one of those dirty secrets where the union supports the president, and the president gives him big, juicy contracts. Some people might call it a bribe or a quid pro quo, but it's legal for the public sector unions to do that. Now, we also have other quotes. Now, let's see here. The Anti-Federalists responded to Steve saying, quote, whether the leadership endorsed him is irrelevant. What matters is which lever each individual steelworker will pull when he's voting the voting booth, unquote. Very true. That got 136 likes. And yes, again, they're not necessarily a monolith. It's also the leadership of the UAW, or in this case, the United Steelworkers. And I've had family members on both sides of the, I was going to say the political aisle, that's true too, but both sides of the automotive community, as that's probably one of the most famous unions, being the Young Auto Workers, where you have families assembly cars, you have people who design and engineer them, train. So I've seen kind of the best and worst of both sides. Now, you also have VMOS6, said, quote, been union for over 50 years. The union talking heads always push us to vote for Dems. All the union folks I work with always voted for Republicans, including me. So much for Biden's endorsements. I'm quoting 223 likes. Now, granted, there's also the ripple effect. If you're a prospective political donor, now granted, most people in businesses of influence will donate to both sides of the both sides of the political aisle to kind of hedge your bets. But if you see, hey, this potentially means Biden has 850,000 additional votes for him, that could sway you to maybe make some political donations, because again, you might think the odds are greater that he's going to win, and maybe you'll have some influence if you were to donate a little bit more. So again, there are many ripple effects, and I understand the political significance, importance of some of these endorsements. Let's see here. You also have Brainless saying, quote, he picked up the endorsement of union heads, but the actual workers will be voting for Trump. I'm quoting 134 likes. Babalu says, quote, unions have no control over how their members can vote. That went away a long time ago. I'm quoting 46 likes. Now, interestingly enough, I'm not seeing a contrarian statement yet. And granted, it's also the sample size of the audience that's maybe already organically gravitated towards, in this case, Fox Business. You do have Marine 1970 saying, quote, my question is, since the Steelworkers Union leadership supports Biden, who do the rank and file members support? I bet the majority would support Trump. I'm quoting 41 likes. Another Row 56 saying, quote, USW leadership endorsed Biden, but the rank and file support Trump. I'm quoting 73 likes. Bibba Gumbo says, quote, again, the union bosses going against their workers, getting 73 likes. Neil V says, quote, unions were a great idea to protect employees against powerful tyrannical companies. Now they are more of a political propaganda arms for Democrats. I'm quoting 41 likes. And yeah, it's definitely not, I don't think it's a coincidence when you look at the donations of pretty much every union. The ratio of Democrats versus Republicans, it's like 90+%. They donate to Democrats. Now, you also have one from the Wild Bill saying, quote, Biden could be endorsed by the USW, Taylor Swift, and Dwayne Johnson and still go nowhere. It's pretty hard to go anywhere with square wheels. I'm quoting 33 likes, which, again, famously Taylor Swift as well as Dwayne Johnson during the last presidential election endorsed and told people to vote for Biden, which it probably did help him. He got a lot of votes, and there are people who are diehard Swift fans. They call themselves Swifties, which ironically, if you have someone who identifies that, I highly encourage you giving them a Swiffer mopper or the Quiver Swiffer picker upper, the kitchen cleaning utensil or whatever they want to call it, kitchen cleaning device. It makes a funny joke and just be like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what you're all about, right? You're really enthusiastic about cleaning. No, they're actually enthusiastic about a woman who apparently I can't wonder what's the common denominator. She's never had a good relationship in decades, and it's always the man's fault in her songs. Imagine if she actually I don't think it's possible actually for her to actually be happy with a man, but all her music would stop. How sad would that be? But nevertheless, it looks like actually overwhelming in the comments section, they're all saying that, the people working the front lines, they're going to vote for Trump. And again, it'll be interesting to be fascinating to see if we actually get the breakdown of the statistical data on, if you look at the votes of each union, how do the individuals specifically vote? So let me know, do you have anyone who's in the United Steelworkers Union? Do you know anyone family who is in that who does support Biden or does support Trump? And I'd be fascinated to see the anecdotal evidence on, what do you see in your circle in terms of popularity. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up or thumbs down or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback. Also, helping share it is great for the YouTube natural algorithm. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.